Hey, welcome to another episode of Electrical Theology. I'm your host, Charles. Thanks for joining me again. If you're new, you know what to do, guys. Appreciate you showing up each and every day. Let's get started today. How's everyone feeling today? Holidays are upon us. We have something going on astrologically. I believe it's Capricorn. No, what is it today? Yeah. Capricorn. I think it's a new moon in Capricorn, guys. Sometimes I'm up to date with all the astrology stuff, but ultimately it's just energy for me. It's just cycles of energy. And so as I tune into what I do, there's a lot of names we can call it planets. Yes, there are sacred geometry associated with that. That sort of is in plain sight here in all of our text and our religions. It all basically just talks about alignment of patterns, right? Your pyramids, your obelisks, your sacred sites, your churches, your Mason lodges, computer, what do you call them? Data centers are on a lot of these sacred sites because it's free energy in one sense. So the powers that be basically have absconded with a lot of the energy sources of the earth, and that's where they build their plants and their churches, because the energy comes up and it gives them a higher or an access to information, right? But we each have access to information, right? We each have what they do. They go to the physical places because, in one sense, one, they found out about it. Two, they're not distracted by dogma, right? Certain powers want to keep that power for themselves, and others want to share it, right? Those who want to keep it for themselves don't want to share it. And in one sense, it's not a negative thing. It's just if you hand the common person that hasn't been educated on sacred geometry or sacred numbers, sacred symbols, how to handle electricity, how to amplify your thoughts. Yeah, we don't want to give this electricity, this power to people. You can see people kill over shoes or $5. I mean, people steal because they don't have enough, right? There's all different reasons. So if you give any of these people this power, access to this power, what do you think really will happen, right? And that's sort of what I'm asking you, is that I'm teaching you how to tap into this power, right? And along the way, set a foundation. So when one day, because of your work you're doing, is that you open this, we'll just call it a portal of cosmic energy coming through you, and all your chakras, if you will, your energy centers in your body, your 7 frequencies. Are you ready to handle that? Right? And along the way, we're given these little examinations, right, to examine how the ions are coming in. And it comes in the forms of people, places, and things. And how are you handling these people, places, and things that in your view looks maybe as a negative, or you call it a name, narcissist or something. And if you still react as opposed to responding with your insight, right? If you react and you want to blame and fault and go outside yourself, then yes, you're not ready for this energy, right? And you have to admit that if you still want to gain stuff in your life. A lot of times when we encounter, we'll call it stripping down of energy, of old energy, preparing for new energy, is the stripping down. Do you look at that as a negative or positive, right? When you go through a separation or a divorce, do you look at this as a negative, right? And yes, it can be painful and whatnot, but again, it's all energy. It's your perception of how this energy is playing out. Call it a divorce, call it bankruptcy, call it you having to move, whatever this may be, right? ultimately we want to sort of recognize that what you're experiencing every day is your test, if you will, to see if you can handle this new energy. These people who are custodians of this energy, this power that you may deem negative or evil or whatever, in one sense, they are the protectors of you accessing something you cannot handle, right? And if you don't have it right now, it's because you can't handle it, right? You just have to understand that. And then you have to ask yourself, why can't I handle it? Then there's the question. You got the right question. The right question is, what do you have to do, right? So let's get on with the reading today and see what we need to do about accessing responsibly this energy, right? Immediately we get community upside down, we get first chakra upside down, and we get the angel of love upside down. So we can look at all these as reverse. Angel of love, which means there has to be self-love going forward. All else, we can love all we want outside ourselves, but our external applications of love are just going to mirror our internal application of love on ourselves. If we can't love ourselves, then what you're loving outside yourself may be a mirror of what you want to be for yourself, so maybe take a look at that, right? And then part of the first chakra is that we have love there. So this is almost a relationship. I'm thinking that there's a lot of relationships out there that you've done a lot of work on, and you feel you've gotten over it, but is there some sort of connection still, right? Can you observe this, even though one of y'all still love the other one, that means there's still a connection. The other one can totally ignore you or whatever, but if you yourself are still connected, or the other person's connected to you, then the relationship's still not over, right? There's still energy out there being exchanged. So we have to take a deeper look and go, okay, if it's you, then you have to sit there and go, okay, I need to really understand this, right? I went through this love, i.e. energy, and how did I deal with this energy, right? And did you leave that energy as good as you came into with it? That makes sense, right? Whenever we used to buy and sell real estate and flip them back in the 70s and 80s and even into the 90s, and we always sold the property in better condition than what it was in when we got it. And that's how it goes from relationships. That however you came into them, you want to make sure that you left them better than when you came in, right? So you have to acknowledge what you gained from that relationship, right? What did you gain from that church community that you're no longer a part of? Or maybe they kicked you out because you started asking too many questions, right? And then having the ability to ask yourself, right, what is it about you that you're still not connecting deeply with and loving deeply with, right? So let's sort of get a little more information on these cards. I want to know more about I want to know something about the community and the first chakra. Angel of love, we just got to be open to loving ourselves, or having people love, or have people love us. Open ourselves to other people loving and caring for us. Even if it's not an intimate relationship, we still need to open our hearts up and create a deeper community love, a sense of love, right? So let's sort of see, let's go on community first and see what we can see. So immediately we get the Two of Swords reversed, and we get Five of Swords reversed. Which in one sense, normally Five of Swords has to do with sort of material difficulties, right? That could be money, even though coins are about money, but this could be the thoughts about the money. Swords are about thoughts, so what are your thoughts about money, right? And this is in reverse, so it's telling me that there's not material difficulty. You have materialism. You have materialistic things in your life, right? But your thoughts about those things aren't healthy. Yes, you have plenty of material. Basically what I'm saying is be grateful for what you have. That's going to be the simple thing. Even that you may not be part of a big community, or maybe you need to join a big community because you're by yourself, right? And that you have the lack of love for yourself, so you're not putting yourself out there, right? And therefore you're not opening yourself up to new communities. So we need to be at peace with ourselves about loving ourselves, find out what that is, and understand that it's just energy. This is a test for you. I normally don't use the word test, but it seems to be relevant today. For me, it's an examination, sort of synonymic there, but for me, it's, I want to examine how examining the ions as I'm bringing them in. You can call it a test, that's fine. But for this thing, we'll call it a test. So you're being tested to see how you're handling energy in the form of a person, or a community, or a place, or being fired, or being lack of no money, or whatever this is in your perception. Right? How are you handling that? Because it's just energy, right? So we get the 9 of Swords, or the 9 of Wands, which is excellent, and then we get the, what is it? 6 of Wands as well. So we get the 6 and 9, right? So in one sense we get the 9 of Wands, which is powerful. It means that our ideas are just right there on the surface, right? They're exploding, they're here, but they're not 100% here, right? We get these little glimpses and we're like, no, I'm ready to handle this power, right? But then there's these little small victories, right? But we're not, and that's the little test, and if we can't pass the little test, or examine what's coming in small chunks and with love, right? Because we're not loving ourselves, so we've got to open up to love ourselves. Then we can see the love that's coming in small chunks. Does that make sense? So then we get the 10 of Stones. There's our stones we were talking about. Excellent. Now we get the 10 of Stones, but right next to it we get the 3 of Swords. Right? 3 of Swords is always about some painful relationship, right? So a lot of this is dealing with the relationship. I don't think it's intimate necessarily. There is that component about you and a past relationship, and making sure that we acknowledge that it went its course and you got out of it what you needed to. That's why you're not there. So you need to honor that person, right? Place or thing, but that person, and know that they are on their path to do their thing. And we respect them by allowing them to do their thing. I'm not saying it's easy, right? It's your perception of your situation. But if you love yourself, then you can love and allow that other person to become who they want to be without you interfering your energy in them. Yes? So I get the 10 of Swords over here, or the 10 of Stones, which is richness. Now we've been getting the 9 of Cups and 9 of Stones, but now we finally get that 10. So that means that because you loving yourself, opening yourself up to a community, allowing that other person to go, right, and allow love, send them away with love, if you will, which is you sending your energy around with love. And so now we get those riches that are coming in, right? That big riches that we've been getting the little pots, now the big pot's coming in, or the big flow of energy, because you can handle it now. Does that make sense? So we got that. So let's go ahead. I'm going to get the first chakra stuff. I want to sort of get more information on what is it we have to deal with, because it's in reverse. And then we get the 6 of Cups. There's the love. So this is dealing more with the love relationship. And we get the High Priestess. The High Priestess can be about meditation, and we get this one a lot. And today it's in reverse, but it's about getting excited, right? Muse is whispering in your ear, but because you're not listening to yourself, you're in lower frequency, so you're not hearing what the muse is trying to get you excited about. And then being able to get excited about it because you love. You see what I'm saying? The love for yourself is very important here, because opening up for community, bringing in the bigger chunks of energy or money, right, or resources, or whatever this is you've been waiting for, that you've been putting out there to come in, it all starts with your love for yourself, right? So we definitely got the 6 of Cups. That's all about the happiness, right? You're seeking that happiness, but you're not open to the happiness. Does that make sense? you're saying, yes, I want happiness, I want happiness. You send it out, but when it comes in, you're like, oh, I'm so depressed. Nothing's happening. Nothing's good enough. I don't have enough. I want more. You're not open. The heart is what's going to open. Now, the heart in esoteric teaches inside the head, the pituitary hypothalamus up in that area, the hippocampus and all that. But the institutions of old, when it switched it and made the heart in the chest, just because this thing pumps, right? But this is only a mechanism that pumps the blood to the brain, right? But the heart, the mechanical heart's getting its instructions from the brain. And inside the brain is where the Garden of Eden is, right? So the esoteric speak, the entire biblical stuff, is all about bringing in the energy, right? Having it come down into you and then allowing it to go back up. Right, creating a cycle, and it does this through our dura tube. It goes through, or dural tube, but the dura fluid goes through up, and everything about the Bible and all the characters and all the places and all it all has to do with your opening to energy. Right, all the characters' names: Moses, Abraham, Jesus, the prodigal son returns. This is all about energy returning back to where it came from, right? I'm not going to go into that in deep, but this is all about understanding how to bring in energy, right? It comes into us, right? And then it rises again. The Christ rises again, right? And so when we send energy out, we need to allow it to come in and rise. That makes sense? And then we get the Three of Wands upside down, and then we get the Hermit reflection. So part of what we have to reflect on to allow this energy to come in when we're transmitting it to come in, having the open heart, is then having the ability to, what we're sending out is virtuous, is authentic, right, is in alignment, because what is happening is this 220 alignment, if you will. The 220 alignments coming in, right, for human 2.0, not the metahuman 2.0, but the evolution of our light within, right? We have metahumans or transhumanism, where human and flesh and computers come together. I'm not talking that. That's a different human 2.0. I'm talking consciousness 2.0. And consciousness 2.0 is, in one essence, feeling where you're at now, open that heart, have that love, and then open up to the bigger you, the bigger flow, right? Your higher self, right? The Son, the Father, Holy Ghost, right? The whole you, right? And I say that Trinity because I'm just giving one Trinity of 50 Trinities that are out there. And as this new consciousness, because again in astrology we went from Pisces to Aquarius, right? And so with each alignment, each turning of this 26,000 big cycle, each energy then readjusts, right? Take this as if you're a sniper, and depending on what range you're shooting at, you have to calculate more information, right? So let's say you're in the mountain range of a certain area, and you have to shoot 200 clicks or whatever, or 200 meters or 500 meters, whatever this is, a shorter distance, it's an easier shot, right? But if now you're in winter terrain and the winds are blowing and you have to do a longer shot, then you have to make a lot more adjustments because of the terrain. Well, when we moved into Aquarius, and now that the planets are doing what they're doing, it's electromagnetic that it's changing our brain waves. And so we have to, in that brain, or that electromagnetism, because we went to Aquarius and what's happening now with the planets, is causing the frequency to change. Right? So if we were operating at 432, now we need to operate at 460. I'm just giving an example. So our electromagnetism, our cells in our body, our thoughts, then have to align or start a feeling and opening up to attract or allow yourself to feel the new frequency and start aligning with it. right? The frequency has changed. The planetary magnetism has changed and changing. And so we were here on the old energy, right? So if you drop it down, the old energy was here, and we've been in alignment with that. Well, now that that energy's gone up, if you will, we have to adapt to go up with it. So if you felt disconnected and a lot of disaster, right, your interpretation of that is, if it was negative, then you're not open, right? And it's, so the destruction, the dismantling, all this that has been taken away from you as you may have perceived, is not. It's helping you become lighter so you can allow your alignment, magnetic alignment, to align with the universal's change alignment. Is that making sense? Hopefully I'm not making it too difficult there, but that's what this energy is about. And so there is still a little bit more contemplation to be done, right? The contemplation is the template of the universe has gone up a frequency or two. We'll just call it that. So it's up to us then to follow that template, to align with the new consciousness. If not, you're going to be always at a disadvantage because you're always struggling. And it's your thoughts of the negativity that's keeping you down. So if we open up, and the reason we have negativity is because we're not loving ourselves. It all comes down to you loving yourself and aligning with the sacred geometry, the sacred numbers, the sacred words, the sacred places, right? You're the beacon, and when you open the love, it opens the heart, opens the eye, the third eye, then you can see the path. And so you align the path. You make the choices that you have to align with that path, no matter what in the physical realm of old has to go by the wayside. So we need to send those other people off, our exes, our loves, off with love, right? So let's see what else we get. So we get strength, and then we get the Four of Cups, and we got that yesterday as well. And we get the Strength, Courage card over here, but it's in reverse. So courage is heart, right? The root word, the heart. So we got to have the ability to let go of control of holding on to the old and opening up to the new, and allow the waves to take you automatically up to the higher frequencies. It's you who's resisting the change, because you're like, yeah, but if I just open up, what if it makes me go to prison? And that's how I'm supposed to serve. I don't want to go to prison, or, oh my God, I have to move away from my loved ones, or I have to divorce my kids, or whatever, right? And that's, again, is because there's essences of yourself that you're not loving. Because you're not going to put yourself through anything that is not of love. You may perceive it as not as love at first, but when you finally go 5, 10 years later, you're like, oh my God, I can see why that happened. I see why my parents were like that. I see why that had to happen. Because without that, I wouldn't have got here. You see, but while we're in it, it's hard to love. But if we start understanding that it's us who's doing this to ourselves, for a reason we may not know or may never know, but it's all part of a letting go, allowing the flow, and aligning to the new consciousness. Yes? All right, guys. I think that'll about do it for today. If you have any questions, please comment down below or email me. That's a link in there as well. If you want to, if this information is valuable to you, then support this channel, if you will. Go to my Patreon. I have entry-level stuff. I have advanced stuff. I have readings you can get at an affordable rate. And I also just put a podcast out last night over on Buzzsprout. I put a new one up there. It won't be on YouTube. You have to go over there and watch that. So there's a link for my Buzzsprout website over there. Just click on that and you can hear my latest one. It has to deal about getting beyond. Again, similar to this, it's about getting beyond and opening up and understanding your sensitivities, right? And understanding and unlocking, right, these new frequencies. All right? Thanks a lot, guys. Appreciate it. Like, subscribe, all that good stuff. Appreciate you, and I'll see you tomorrow.